Afternoon.
Man.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? And welcome to Christian Ministries once again with my brother, Minister Jason West, Sean Whitelow, and your boy, Jay Wright. Welcome back. Welcome back.
I think
Yeah.
we start. I think the premises of the first half, it's gonna be Proverbs 13, 24.
Oh, man.
You said what?
We got ain't nobody in here right now, man. So we're gonna wait till some people kind of come in real quick.
Where we at, Jason? You said what? Where are we going? What?
Proverbs 13, 24.
Better raw sport a child. Proverbs what?
13, 24. All right.
Ooh. Write this down, Jason.
All right. Hold up.
You got a pen?
Yeah.
Proverbs 29:15.
Proverbs 29, 15. All right. Is that on this subject?
Yeah, we're gonna move. Yeah, it's kind of.
All right, guys. Subject of the day: spare the rod, spoil the child. What is the Bible saying to us? Chapter 13 of Proverbs, verse 24. It reads, "He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him properly." So this is going back to discussing ideologies concerning disciplining children. Okay. Some people among us believe in corporal punishment. Do not believe in corporal punishment. So, do you believe in spanking your children physically, or do you believe in other disciplining your children outside of corporal punishment? For those of you who don't know what corporal punishment is, that's when you physically spank someone, spank a child. I remember when I was growing up in our public school system in Indianapolis, Indiana, they didn't hesitate. Well, the school system totally had a system for discipline, for corporal punishment implemented in the schools that was administered by the administration, i.e., the principals and the teachers. They had a system where they used wooden boards of different shapes, sizes, and lengths, and they would actually spank and deliver physical punishment to the buns of the children at the schools. And this took place all the way throughout. You know what? I'm not sure if they did it in high school or not. I left Indianapolis before high school, and I haven't had that, in high school since junior high school. But I definitely got my butt lit up in junior high school. And
I got powdered. I got powdered in high school.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they paddled in high school in Nashville, Tennessee.
For real?
Yeah,
I didn't paddle in high school. I guess the school, my district, wasn't doing it by that time.
Man,
Early
I'd rather
90, 91.
I'd rather get a paddle than my mom come to school.
Yeah. Well, see, back when I was in school, we rather get a paddle than for them to call home to your parents. Because if the phone call made it to the house, it was more devastating than the actual paddle. That's what they used to call it when they hit you with the board back in school. They used to call it a paddle. You gonna get a paddle, and it usually consisted of about 3 licks. That was standard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they would give you an option. You don't always get that option. Every once in a while they give you an option. Now, you want me to get you, or you want me to call your parents?
Man, get me.
Go on, get me, man. Go on, get me. Go on, get me. Ooh, the paddles used to hurt too, boy.
Hey, get me right quick.
It seemed like that button be on fire for several minutes after.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got I think the last paddle I got, I was in the 7th grade in Indianapolis, Indiana. That was the last year I completed in Indiana before I moved to Texas. And I can't remember what I did, but I was on my way down to the office, and everybody knew that I was gonna get my powder from Mr. I forgot the name of it. It's a man, the principal, right? And I never forget, it was a tall white man, middle age,
Mm-hmm.
principal of the school. And so dudes would tell me on the way down, "Oh man, I had a powder by him for. Hey man, he gonna ask you, you want him fast or you want him slow? Them licks, And so they said, man, get him fast, get it over with, because he's slow. We need to take his time, man. So I think I'm doing something. I'm going down there. I want fast, They didn't wire me up, told me to get him fast. Man, that man was like lightning and thunder, boy. It lit my ass. Woo! He lit my behind so fire. Woo! I said, now if this is better than slow,
I don't want no part of that stuff.
Man.
What grade was you in?
7th grade. That's the last time I had the board put on me.
Man, I got
Minister Wright, you made a statement last week. You said you don't believe whooping your kids. Okay.
Nope.
So the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. It says, he who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly. So let's kick this thing off. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I used to get beat as a kid, man. I didn't forget my mom until about 6 months ago.
Hold on. Hey, it's funny you say this. I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna get back to you. It's funny you say this. I woke up this morning. I woke up out of my dream. It's a bad dream, right?
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I said, man, I just had a dream that I grabbed my mama by her neck and threw her up against the wall.
Yeah.
And told her that she ever hit me again, I'm gonna F her up.
Right. And
she's like, what country you had? And she was talking about and whooping me, put some punishment on me. And I had told her, I said, because I'm tired of you being steady beating me for stuff, for small stuff, any little bitty thing and stuff like that, right? Bro, I woke up from that dream this morning. And I said, oh wow, we supposed to have a discussion tonight on the topic. You know what I'm saying? So so you just said, you just now giving your mom 6 months ago. I had this dream this morning. Man, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So we got to talk about this. So go ahead.
Man, my mom was, oh Lord, thank you. Man, I would rather the paddle, you used to get 3 licks, remember? I would rather the principal give me 10 licks than call my mama.
Yeah.
Man, I said, call my mama to the school. She got to leave her job. Oh, man.
They go to give me 10.
Right. Well, let me go to that one. I can go there too. I got stories for that.
Man, I'm going to tell you, man. My mom, it's interesting. My mom apologized to me last week, after all these years, and I didn't have this conversation with her. And she said, I wish I would have did things better as a parent. I was like, you know what, man? A lot of people don't get their parents grace because, like, I only got one child, so I only been a parent one time. So I don't know all the requirements that it takes to be a parent. So we had to get grace in there. Years later, I had to get grace. I'm glad I got grace because I didn't understand what it was. But when you're a parent, you don't really know. You going off what you're saying and what you were taught. So that's why I said I don't believe in physically hitting the child because it made me kind of resent my mother for a long time because I contributed a whooping with slavery.
And that's what it looks like a lot of times.
You know what I'm saying?
When it's taking place. Yeah. It's funny you just said that because I just told my wife again in wake of the conversation that we had this morning. Mm-hmm. As the conversation went on, I told her about a story about when I with my ex-stepson, right? Mm-hmm. People always laugh when I say ex-stepson,
right.
Ex-white son, and divorced son, divorced son too. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But he's my ex-stepson, and he was like 16 years old, and I was whooping with a belt, and he bent over the bed, right, like this. And I went to striking him with the belt across his back, right? He was just like, and in my mind, I was seeing those slavery movies.
Yeah,
that's what I came to my mind. That's what I saw. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just stopped. And at that moment, I realized 1 for 1, he was too big to be whooped with a belt.
Right.
For you see what I'm saying?
Supposed to be fighting him.
Right. And it didn't feel right. I didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it. I used to think my mama liked whooping me. You know what I mean? And my mama used to tell me, I whoop you because I love you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I used to be like, well, stop loving me. You know what I'm saying? If this is love, I hate to see what your hate is like. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my son told me that one time. He was about 10 years old, I guess. And I was putting that belt on his. No, I popped him by, I think. And he mumbled. Don't whoop me. That's how you know. That's how you want to do anyway. I said, man, come on, man. I said, no, you don't get a whooping because I want to whoop you. You get a whooping because you're doing something you ain't got no business doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You get a whooping because of what you did, not because of what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And it reminds me, when he did that, it reminded me of a time when I was about 11 or 12 years old. I had got a whooping from my mama. She whooped me real good. And I don't know, like she always whooping for stupid stuff. So and when I was up in my bedroom and I was telling my cousin, and my mom's in the room right on the other side of the wall, right? And I'm telling my cousin, she just whooping me because she mad about something else. You know what I'm saying? That's what he reminded me of when he said that. And my mama heard me. Now, this is why this is the type of parenting I don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? This is how I know where my mom went wrong at, right? As parenting. A lot of times our parents, you know, they did an okay job as far as, you know, making sure we roof over our head and feed and all that, but they really made a lot of mistakes on parenting as well, you know. So she heard me, she said, come here, bring your ass here. You know what I'm saying? So I come in there and she said, I just heard what you said. Talking about, I'll whoop you because I'm mad about something else. No, I'll whoop you because what you do. She beat my ass again right there on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that just proved my point. You just because you got mad at what I said. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just expressing to me, you know, no, that's not how this works. You see what I'm saying? But she felt like that even wanted a whooping. You know. So over the years, so my wife helped me. Well, with the story I told you about my sons, what Trey said, and my stepson, what he said, and not what he said, the way that made me feel that time.
Right.
And what Trey said to me, all that stuff was processing in my mind over time.
Yeah.
So when I went into my current marriage with my wife, she came in with 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a 13-year-old, boy and a girl. And so those kids need structure as well, right? So when those kids are in error, they have to be correction, right? So my wife had a different approach to parenting because she didn't grow up getting whoopings like that. Mm-hmm. So she helped me evolve, right? And basically build off of what I was already processing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Previous kids I had already raised. I had already raised multiple kids, you know, because I had my daughter and she got the worst of it, the oldest one. You know what I mean? Because I went straight into that one with my mom's mentality. Even though I wasn't bad as her, you know what I'm saying? Much, you know, like this little stuff I let make it compared to my mom, but I still was overboard. See what I'm saying? My mentality is that this a whooping is how you deal with all this stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I still had the mentality, even though I wasn't as bad as my mom on every little bitty thing. Right. To my daughter, man, I was to her because she ain't seen. She thought she saw something. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But right. It's still uncalled for. Everything wasn't called for a whooping. And this is what my wife worked with me with over time. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to whoop kids every little bitty thing. Every little bitty thing, you don't have to blow it out of proportion. It don't become such a grave offense. You know what I mean? And I'm so glad that I have evolved. I just see the world with a clear lens. You see what I'm saying? And I see parenting with more depth. You know what I mean? As opposed to parenting and mimicking on what I experienced and what I saw as a child.
You know, I'm glad you said that, man, because a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that you can break the cycle of a parenting style by, you know, becoming your own, you know, best critic. Because, like you said, we emulate what we see. I never had to whoop my kid ever. Never, not one time. Put my hands on him. Ever.
That's pretty good, man. That's a lot to say. That's a lot to be able to say.
Yeah. I thank God that I'm able to tell him sit down, you know, when he was smaller. And man, I'll go to New York and come back. He'll still be sitting in that same spot. You know what I'm saying? He got a whooping one time, man. I picked him up and he's like, you know, his mom's boyfriend whooped him. Oh Lord. So I said, what? He's like, yeah, he whooped me. Okay, cool. You know, I said, let me
It's
call
funny
him.
you brought that up. I mean, that's important. That's important right there.
Right.
Make sure we touch back on that.
Mm-hmm.
Go
So
ahead.
I called him. I said, hey man, what's going on? I said, man, Zay told me, my son name was Xavier. I said, man, Zay told me, you whooped him. What happened, man? I just want to understand what happened. I ain't call him, animosity.
Right.
Man, he in my household and blah blah blah. I said, man, I hear you, bro. I said, but I created that one. You know what I'm saying? I said, now if he get out of line, bro, just as a man, you gotta have structure in your household. So I can't tell you how to structure your household. But if he get out of line, call me and I'll take a flight or drive down and I'll get him. I'll put some straight into that. You know what I'm saying? Because he need to respect you as a man. I said, but putting your hands on the dog, don't do that. He start, man. I said, bro, I ain't call you on that, bro. This is peace talk. You know what I'm saying? So he woofing. I said, man, if I had some problems, I'd probably be at the front door right now. This ain't one of those phone calls, man. Just listen. He listened. He's like, you know what, man, you're right. We've been cool ever since. You know what I'm saying? Because
That's good.
the old me will go there and pull the door off the frame, but man, what am I going to accomplish? Now my son's going to become a target to him. You know what I mean? And we ain't never had no problems after that, man. And even when I'm in when I've been in relationships with like one of my exes, she you know how I would punish her son? I'll make him do push up, sit up, overhead arm
Right.
I would do like military stuff, and that kid ended up being a good kid, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you say?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to a child that says he ain't gonna do no push-up?
Oh, we're gonna go outside. We're gonna get the boxing gloves. We're gonna get some type of straightening.
I mean, hey man, I mean, like at some point, because sometimes you run into unruly kids like that, and you say you don't believe in whooping kids, but you got some of them say you try to find all these alternative ways of discipline, and they be like, man, I'm not standing in no corner. You know what I'm saying? And they start like that at a young age nowadays too, for sure.
I don't think I would be in a relationship with a woman with a kid I couldn't contain. Yeah, that relationship ain't gonna go too much nowhere, man. It ain't gonna be no relationship because
that's a good topic to bring up because, like you said, you don't believe in whooping your kids, but your kid is living under the roof with his mom and another parent that believes in corporal punishment.
Right.
This can become a problem.
Well,
because I can relate to both parents. I can relate to the dude that's like, now this is my house, man. I'm gonna discipline kids, right? I can also relate to you because you know what that type of child rearing did for you and how it made you feel.
Yeah.
And you don't believe in raising your kids like that. You believe that detrimental to raising your child. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that can be a real big problem.
I'm glad you said that because man, God is good, man. One day, I just said, man, I'm just gonna pop up down there, just do a pop-up check on him. I get up there, man. His mama got him jacked up in the air, boy, off the ground. I said, nah, that can't be my kid. The closer I'm getting to the house, I said, nah. I'm telling myself it ain't, even though I can clearly see. So she got him jacked up outside. There's people all outside. Man, Lord, listen to me, man. I am so grateful, and I'm so thankful that I can rationalize stuff, right? Because what I want to do in that moment is all them adults out there, but I want to get rid of all of them. Y'all sitting and watching this adult, jack this kid up and slap him around and stuff like that. And I told him, man, if you ever hit him again, ever in his life, ever, all y'all, ever in his life, y'all gonna have to deal with me. He can't get, ain't no more whoopings, ain't no more putting your hands on him. That's over with.
But the thing is this, like, so people are watching and they're looking. Half of those people agree with her, the kid's supposed to be jacked up. The other half agree with you, but they know you can't tell people how to raise their kids, so they got to mind their business before they be out there fist fighting with her. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's how it goes.
Right.
You see? different kids also different kids take punishment different.
Yeah.
As far as like you could whoop one kid growing up, and it won't really have no grave effect on them. Their psychology, their psyche, right?
Yeah.
That's you get that another kid in that same household, the same whoopings, and then mess that kid up.
Right.
It'll mess with his psyche.
Right.
He'll resent you and all this kind of crazy stuff. He might end up telling him what it can do to him. You know.
Right. Man.
But
you know, some kids do take it. We got beat and my grandmother will whoop us. She'll whoop everybody. One person do something, she'll whoop everybody. I'm talking, we getting the whooping for something we ain't got nothing to do. So, you know, if all 15, 20 of us with my grandmother and one person mess up bad, man, it's just a line of whoopings. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to come back to that, but I want to talk about this verse, right? Now, I've discussed this verse before many years ago with people, and there's different spins on it, right?
Yeah.
So right here, when you first, from a surface level, when you read this verse, first thing you think of is, he who spares his rod hates his son, right?
Yeah.
And he who loves him disciplines him promptly. Now, the rod is the stick, right? You know, rod, sticks and stuff was popular back in them days. People carried sticks. They did sticks. All right, now, so they whoop butt with sticks, right? So, on surface level, you read it, you're thinking there's just physical punishment, right? Corporal. So, but Bill was saying that the rod can also be symbolic for discipline, right? The rod of correction. You know what I'm saying? So it don't necessarily have to be a physical punishment or a physical rod. It could be discipline. You know what I'm saying? Your approach to discipline. And so, you know, parenting, you know, kids don't come with an owner's manual, you know. I believe that our culture, when I say our culture, I'm talking about American culture. And then I'm going to spin it on around and talk specifically about Black culture on this topic. I believe our American culture, we need to make it customary, man, to have parenting classes, man. People need parenting classes because we, on a large scale, Americans do a terrible job at parenting. You know, and the Black community specifically, just like you were saying, your grandmama's ideology was, you know, one of them do something, everybody getting their butt whooped, you know, and that's not justice. You see what I'm saying? And that's just not really a rational approach to discipline a child. You know what I mean?
Well, the military kind of go off that too. If one person mess up, it affects thousands, and sometimes everybody can be affected by that one person.
Right.
Well, I can understand it. I can understand that in the military.
Yeah.
Because there's lives on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all are forced.
No, what I mean by that, like, let's say if you forgot something at home, everybody else got to sit there and do push-ups until you get back. And stuff like that happens sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So they get punished.
I can understand in the military. It makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But because my mom told me that her mom and dad used to whoop out. My mom is, she's one of 11, right? Right. And she said that her parents asked who did it. And she said that some of them honestly didn't know who did it. It's 11 of them. They're watching each other all the time, you know. So she said that some of them honestly don't know who did whatever it was that was done. But he said, okay, since y'all ain't gonna tell, y'all all lined up and get a whooping, and then that way I know I got the one that did it. You know. So it's just a lot of parenting we do in the Black community. You know, it's just we're pro corporal punishment in the Black community. For many years we've been like that, pro corporal punishment, and more and more Blacks as time go on are starting to come around to like Mr. Wright's ideology as not so much believing in that, but ultimately we still are pro corporal punishment subculture in the African American community.
Yeah,
And,
I'm pro no whoopings, man.
huh?
No whoopings, bro. I don't believe in no belt, no switches, no rice spoons, nothing.
Now I've come around. I might evolve further, but I'm at a point where I believe I believe in corporal punishment up until a certain age. I believe if you employ some light corporal punishment correction, you know what I'm saying, as for corrective measures on site, for the first so many years of their life, first 4, 5, 6 years of their life, then you don't have to really ever do that again after that. They understand right from wrong. They understand that there's consequences, and because little kids, they'll be getting into stuff and you be telling them to stop and no, and they'll just do what they want to do anyway. So you gotta get to where you pop their hands and stuff, and stuff like that. And
I don't think so.
them,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just saying where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
that I ain't made it to where you at yet, because
now,
little kids, you know why? I ain't saying I ain't gonna never get there.
Yeah.
But I don't have the patience to keep moving a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you. I work in a barbershop.
Yeah.
They come in with these kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I see these kids doing stuff that I know they should got their little hands popped or their little butts lit for.
Yeah.
Because the parent is telling them 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And they just ignore the parent, tell them no, do what they want to do. Or just look over there and ignore them. See, I don't have that kind of patience. I'm gonna bust their butt by then. But once they got conditioned to know that there's consequences to not listening, not hearkening to your voice, then you really don't have to do that no more.
Let me ask you this.
So go ahead.
You see parents pop kids on the hand when they do little small stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, I'm almost 100% million sure.
And you know what? I'm not even going. I don't even go with that. I'm off of that. I'm off of that little small stuff.
So
I'm talking. If I ain't got to tell you, I'm not telling you 3, 4, 5 times. Yeah. That's when you're gonna get popped.
Well, the thing is this: you see parents, they tell you don't do this. I guarantee you, in your whole life, you've never seen a parent teach their kid how to sit still in a chair. And they haven't been trained. So they're in a barbershop. Hey, ain't nobody holding me back. Oh, man, I can go to the Coke machine, all that stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. Kids do get into stuff. But a lot of that stuff is how they've been trained at home. So I kind of got to blame the parents.
I've seen parents take the kid, sit them down, right? Don't move. And they go over here.
Yeah.
You get right up. They go over there, sit them back down. Sit down. Sit right here. Don't move.
Right.
They get right back up.
Now,
sit down. Don't move. Get right up. Okay. Now, I don't know how much patience you got, how many times you got to do that before your child decides they want to hearken to your voice. Mm-hmm. But I know after about 2 times, if you like that butt, you ain't got to worry about them getting up no more.
Yeah.
Unless you got one of them stubborn ones. Now, sometimes you got a stubborn one, you got to get twice. You got to go and light them again. You know what I'm saying? They'll try you.
No.
You got those.
Now, this particular kid that I would make do push-ups or, military stuff. Now, his mama sometimes, hey, she wouldn't do it while I was there, but I'll come back. She's like, I had to whoop him. and I know how she was. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna challenge you.
mhm,
I'm gonna challenge you.
yeah.
If how you gonna make a kid that you can't make sit down? How you gonna make them do push-ups?
Mm, I don't know. Well,
I had a guy in my barbershop. You know Danny, Sean? Danny. So I asked Danny today, because I knew he was gonna have this topic today. So I said, Danny, because he was telling somebody about his daughter. And he was saying that she had got mouthing off to her mom. So he came in and he made her write 5,000 sentences about mouthing off to her mom, right? I said, Danny, what if she'd have told you she ain't writing no damn sentences? He like, man. Then she wanted to write 12,000. I said, well, she told you she ain't writing no sentences. What you gonna do? Man. Yeah. I said, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
hey, Sean, and I had one that'll tell you that, didn't I? I think you're on mute. On your mic. Your mic.
Yeah.
I had one that'll tell you she ain't writing no sentences.
Absolutely.
So what do you do?
Trying to stay out of jail.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I've never ran into that situation, man.
And this is where the problem comes in the discussion of whether you believe in corporal punishment or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do have kids that will try you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They'll try you.
Yeah.
So my wife, like she said, she after a certain age, you shouldn't have to tell your kids. You know, she don't believe. But you got kids, so you got to get them kids. And let me ask you: would you rather for your kid to respect you or fear you?
Respect me.
Respect.
You know why? You know why I wouldn't want my kid to fear me? Because if my kid was to do something out there in the world, I don't want him to be scared to come tell me. I want him to say, "Hey, I need to call my father," because he'll know how to get me out of the situation. If he fear you, they'll do stuff and go home and go to sleep, and you wake up and channel 2 news outside your house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't want my son to ever fear me. I want him to know this is a place of safety.
Don't hit the button. I already texted to you. My wife.
So
I used to fear my mom. You know what I'm saying? I was scared.
Hey, look for my wife. She want to come up.
So do we fear God or respect God? Where we at as far as?
We're not going there. You changed the subject. We had a whole show on that once already.
But we're children. But we're children of God, right?
Not tonight. Let's stay on the topic. That's gonna send us down a rabbit hole, boy.
How you doing, Miss West? Mrs.
Good.
West, I apologize.
When Jason was talking about there are kids that will try you, it is my theory or hypothesis. If you start training your child in utero, you get your child used to your voice. And when that child is born, you make your opinion the best thing ever. You make your opinion mean something to your child. You can hurt your child's feelings with words way faster than you can with corporal punishment.
Right.
Because I can say for me, my children are grown, but what I think of them still means more to them than anything. They will not disappoint me because my opinion of them means just that much. And that starts in utero, and especially from years 1 to 3. That's when you train your child. If you're not physically, intentionally training your child, that's when you get the kids that will try you.
Right.
So I think
Now,
kids that get to the point where they try you just didn't have the structure from those beginning years.
Yeah. You know, I never whooped my kid, but he tried me a couple weeks ago. He super tried me. Like, he said something kind of out of line.
How old is it? How old is it?
About to be 17.
Well, you know, that's that age where they try their fathers. 16, 17.
Right. So he said something. I said something to him. And I asked him a question, and his response was full of his response was like his mother responds, right? I said, man, that's kind of ironic. You know what I'm saying? Because I put everything together to where he didn't have to work. He play sports. So, hey, man, I'm sending you money. You got your little girlfriend. I'm putting money in your pocket, stuff like that, making sure you ain't got to be out here doing stuff in the street. And he just said something. And I said, okay, all right, well, you got it. We'll see how it work out for you. We'll see if you can go get a job or still date this girl with no money in your pocket. I'm trying to show you direction as a man. It's hard to do it not in the household, but I'm still doing my best. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I definitely feel short in some areas as a father, and stick with me every day. But if I can still give them a teaching moment, it's like, hey, man, I can't put my hands on you, but I can dang so show you something. If I pull my resources back and let you take on it for a while, we're gonna see how you can handle this for a little minute. Show me how it work out. 3-4 months. If you want to get your own money, let's see how it work out for you. Not to, you know, throw them away, but just to show them, hey, man, you know,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
that's
part of it. You guys,
Yeah.
that's how you deal with young men.
Right.
You know, you let life touch them a little bit. You know, you still have that safety net, but you let it touch them. What do y'all think about? So I guess, yeah, y'all could interpret this verse that way about the rod can be a discipline, discipline.
I never really thought the rod was a rod when it came to that. I always thought it was a form, like you said, a form of discipline. You got to figure out what that kid loves and figure out how to manipulate that when they need discipline. Physical discipline, to me, I've seen kids get whoopings. They just go back and do the same thing. They're like puppies. They don't remember that whooping after a while, but you're going to remember how I made you feel. You may not remember the whooping, you don't remember the pain, but you remember how you felt when your mother whooped you.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been one to think, I'm going to find out what you love, and I'm going to use that to bring you to your knees. You're going to remember how I made you feel. You may not remember that exact pain, but you're going to remember how I made you feel. And that's how I've always intentionally punished and raised my kid.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask y'all 2 parents this, or y'all 3 parents there. Have y'all ever stopped in a moment and said, you know what? This can be a good teaching moment. Or, you know what I mean? Because I know for me, a lot of times where I could have whooped them, I said, you know what? They probably don't know. So let me show you. Hey, man. I'm just going to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing, and especially in the Black community. You know, when we was growing up, and all of us old enough to remember this, we used to make fun of white folks because they used to be like explaining. Their kids used to say, they'll tell their kids to do something, right, or not to do something, and they'll say, why? And we make fun of them because, you know, we couldn't say why to our parents,
right?
Because you got smacked or something. Because I said so. That's after they smacked you, you know.
Right.
And it was disrespectful to say why. And my wife's shaking her head. She don't remember. My wife she didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And am I right, y'all?
Are you right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parents have to realize that they teach kids how to deal with their emotions. Go ahead.
Hold on, let me finish. So we made fun of them because we thought they was just disrespecting their parents, you know, and we made fun of them because the parent would actually turn around and explain why. And our parents be like, Man, ain't explaining shit to no child because I said so, you know.
Right.
But then as I got older and involved in my parenting and learned and developed, I realized that was actually better parenting. To actually explain to the child why you did or didn't want them to do something. You see, it was actually better parenting, but we made fun of it. We thought it was a joke.
Right.
You know, we thought they were getting punked by their kids and stuff by explaining to them and stuff. But it's really a very intelligent thing to do. You know, to explain to your kid why you said no, why you don't want them to do that, or why you said do that, why they must do
I have a
this.
question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
If you all grew up knowing you didn't like corporal punishment, didn't feel like it solved the problem, it wasn't fair, why didn't you break the cycle? Why did you repeat the cycle when you became an adult? When you, I, when
I'm gonna tell you
I got pregnant, you talking to somebody who never wanted to have kids. I never wanted to be responsible for another human being to the point I had to make them a productive citizen. But I got kids. I digress. When I became pregnant, I became intentional. I started to think about how I was raised, what I liked, what I didn't like. And one thing I realized, my mother didn't tell me she loved me. And I needed that. So I'm a mom and I tell my kids I love them all the time because that's something I felt I missed. I needed.
Right.
Adults who become parents, why don't you take what you liked from your childhood, expound on that, remove what you didn't like, and replace it with something that you find logical?
Well,
Why do you take exactly what you didn't like and put that on your kid? Like, why doesn't the mental correct that? Or
well,
why
for me,
doesn't the emotion correct that?
well, Wright did. Mr. Wright, he said that's exactly what he did, you know. But for me, the way my mind was working at the time was I didn't see the corporal punishment as the problem. I saw the excessiveness of it as the problem. So my thing was not to be excessive with it, only when it calls for it, because in my mind, corporal punishment was for correction. You see what I'm saying? For correcting children. That's why I kept it. But only thing I wanted to get away from was being excessive with it in times where they didn't call for it. You see. And even I had to catch myself, and I had to train myself even to do that, because I found myself on the first child, the oldest one, falling into the same parenting approach to this, where certain things that didn't require, you know, that type of correction, you know, that corporal or, you know, physical discipline, I had to decipher, got to get better at deciphering when what did and what didn't.
Right.
You see.
Well,
and it took some time. So the first child got more a blunt of the blow. You know what I mean? In the process, so it got better. Each child after, you know, got a better parenting style than the ones before.
I didn't want no parts of my childhood with my kid. Zero. I grew up in the project, man. I grew up very, very, very like, man. I grew up like in some of the worst projects you can name, and you know, I seen people get whooped, and I just took everything I seen in my childhood and said, man, I want to do it different when I become an adult. You know what I mean? I came a parent very, you know, at a good age where I had a little bit of maturity in between there, and I said, man, I never want to whoop no kid, man, or nobody else kid. you know, and you know, if I dated somebody had a kid, and they be like, "Yo, you can give me a whooping." Nah, I ain't whooping nobody else's kid because anybody gonna whoop mine. So,
You know what I do see in the hood a lot, and this is just me walking to the grocery store or something in the hood.
mhm.
I mean, walking into the grocery store. I ain't walking, or whatever. But I see women, and I gotta be specific again because it's just what I see. Black women cuss their kids out,
Oh yeah, like that
pop them
crazy.
in the back of your head. I mean, and we have to understand that there's more than one type of abuse, child abuse. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
It ain't just you got verbal abuse as well. And these young
Mhm.
boys, they're getting a type of abuse from these black these women, you know. And I see it all the time. They talk
You know,
real crazy to these young men.
they be calling the
And
kids.
girls too. They're girls too.
Yeah.
You know, call them
You know,
bees and all kind of stuff, man. They're talking to a kid, talking to a child.
right. If you tell a kid you dumb MF a multitude of times, they're gonna start believing that they dumb, right? And a lot of young black boys and girls are growing up thinking they're dumb.
Or they're gonna resent you.
Right now, man, I promise you, it was years where I didn't even want to go back home, man. Like when I joined the military, they were like, "Oh, you can take leave," man. I don't want to go back home, bro. I'm good. I will take a vacation somewhere else. Where? But once I went to therapy for 2 years and got healing, now I can show my mom love that she probably never received. You know what I'm saying? So I took it as she just didn't know, or she came from a place of hurt. So only thing I can do is give you something that you probably never had. You know what I'm saying? Um, and man, my mom, man, my mom will beat us like crazy. I'm not saying it made us better, it made us think a little bit more. Like, dang, man, I can't hang out with those kids because my mom gonna whoop me. So I can't say it helped or anything like that, but it just made me not want to be the parent that my parents were. You know what I'm saying? Because my dad never whooped me either. He tried to one day. He thought about it.
As it relates to that,
Mhm.
we are a very sick subgroup that needs, like you said, you did 2 years of counseling.
Mhm.
That's another thing about our subculture, black folks. We
Mhm.
don't believe in taking counseling.
Right.
Okay. And I really believe that we need that. That's something we need to change and take strides in.
Definitely. Hey man, counseling helped me, boy.
Yeah,
Boy.
good out there, bro.
Hey, without counseling,
Mhm.
boy, it'd be some people living under
Go
a
to
rock, boy.
that Proverbs 23.
29:15. You said 29:15.
Yeah, go to start at Proverbs 23 and 12 and 12. And I guess you can go down to 15.
23 and 12. You said Proverbs
Yeah,
chapter 23?
yeah.
Because you had
And you can
said,
go all the way
I thought
down
you said 29:15 earlier.
to 14.
Hold on. Twelve to 14.
Yeah, you can go down. Yeah.
Apply your heart to instruction and your ears to words of knowledge. Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die. You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell. So, what do you think, Mrs. West, about that?
I think God gave me the kids He gave me because He knew what I could handle and what I couldn't. So I'm blessed. I didn't have to beat my children with a rod. was for correction. I didn't go through those disrespectful years. We may have moments, but I have my kids. God gave me what I needed.
But you notice in verse 12, it says, the first thing it says, apply thine heart into instruction. So if you're doing it from the heart, you're not doing it out of anger or misguided intentions.
Mm-hmm. If you,
But like Jason said, you can spank. I mean, I don't have a problem with slap. I agree. At a certain age, you ain't got no business whipping no child.
yeah.
It's just you get into your teens, 13, 14, 15, 16, you ain't got no business. Now,
Definitely not teens. I think it should stop.
9, 10, 11, 12, they should.
I say 6, 7 years old, man.
Yeah, you shouldn't be whooping your child at that age.
They should be listening to your voice by that time.
Right. I mean, a smack on the hand or something like that at a young age, I got it. But you whooping your child at 12, 13, 14, 15. It's hard. There's an issue there. And like the scripture says there, it doesn't say you shouldn't do it. It says you're doing it, apply it from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're applying it from the heart, you're not applying it from the intent of being malice or nefarious.
Right.
And that's another thing we do a lot as parents. And remember when I said I accused my mom with me because she's mad about something else. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe she didn't whoop me because she's mad about something else. But she still probably whooped me because she was mad. Mm-hmm. Mad at what I did or because, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we whoop kids when we're mad because we're mad. They made us mad. And the blunt of your anger is your motivating force. See, mm-hmm. and we have to learn as parents to when you whoop kids that the results should be the motivating force as opposed to your anger. You see what I'm saying? The results you're trying to get should be the motivating force of your disciplinary action, as opposed to your anger being a motivating force of your disciplinary action. That makes sense.
But okay, right. But do those scriptures make sense with those scriptures just said?
Right, because it says apply your heart to instruction.
Right.
Right. So now when you're thinking about your heart, you know what I'm saying? So you're doing it out of right mindset.
Right.
Right. And then you doing the instruction. Now you're looking for results because instruction gets you what? It's a roadmap to results. Right. So you're looking for results. You see what I'm saying? So it's result centered as opposed to acting on your anger because you didn't piss me off. Now I told you. See,
right. When you get to that point, you shouldn't even discipline them if you're at that point right there.
Yeah, because most whoopings come out of that energy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That I've witnessed, you know what I'm saying, that I've received, as opposed to, because you gotta think, is this whooping going to help correct this problem at all before you even whoop the child? And if the answer is not yes, then you shouldn't even whoop them.
Let me ask you something. Whenever you got corporal punishment from your parent, your mother, what was your take as far as where she was doing it from? Anger or love?
Anger.
It was anger.
Okay, time out.
Okay, but she would verbally tell me. She would verbally tell me that she would.
I don't care what she's telling you. I don't care what she's telling you. Based on her energy, based on her inflection, based on the way she was talking to you at that point, when she said, "Get over, get it," I'm finna did you feel like she was doing it out of anger or out of love?
Anger.
Okay, now with that being said, when you got a paddling from that teacher, how was his communication to you? Was it aggressive? Was it angry? Or was it more, all right, Mr. West, been over. How do you want it? How
Right.
do you, or was it more
Most
calming?
majority of the paddles I got at school were, you can tell,
Huh?
and it went out of anger.
So
Most
it
of the ones
was,
I got at school were out of anger.
now think about that. Think about that,
I ain't
because
never
I
thought
got
about
very, huh?
that. I ain't never thought about that. I ain't never
So
compared that. I ain't never compared that.
So think of it, right. So think about that. Consistently, when you got a paddling from your teacher, it was more relaxed and it was more calm. It was more. You even said it. You was more fearful at that moment, and that
Calling my
the
mom.
place. Then with your mom cussing you out, raising a voice, get over here, take them clothes off, and I'm gonna whoop that yada yada
Yeah.
yada.
Yeah, she gonna go ham.
So right. So think about that. So,
Mhm.
like I said, you're doing it from the heart. Was the school, the pattern you getting from school more came with more instruction based on look, I'm doing this simply because I'm trying to get results and to
Hold on.
nullify you doing this again.
Now
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Hold on.
No, it's funny you said it because it's times I got paddle and they're like, man, I got to paddle you, man. It's like, oh man, it
Right,
was more from places like, I don't want to do this, but hey, we got to handle business. But my
right.
mama, Lord, she like, man, I'm about to beat your butt.
So the discipline, the discipline, corporal punishment discipline you got from your mother, and it's crazy we're saying mother opposed to father, but that's another story. But it consistently, once you think about it, like it was never
I hate you.
calming. It was never.
Yeah.
It was never. It was always get your butt on.
Right.
Didn't I tell you? And then
Right.
after the fact, they might have told you, well, I did it because I love you, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, in that moment, that's not what I'm receiving out of that.
Right. Nah.
Versus when you got that coddling or corporal punishment from that teacher at school.
Right.
It wasn't out of get over here right now and pull them, turn around.
I would be about to get paddled sometime. They'd be like, man, come on, man. Why you make me do this, man? It'd be like
Right,
that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man,
right.
come on, man. Come on,
I had a
coaches. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, bro.
I had a friend tell me when he would get a paddling, he was get the teacher like, man, why are you making me? I don't want to paddle. He said it got to the point where the teacher say, okay, come on over, I'm gonna paddle you. And the teacher would spank the bottom of his own shoe.
Wow.
Because he's like, I mean, come on, man.
It's pointless. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
when I got paddles in high school, the coaches did it. They send you to like your position coach or something like that.
Which
They
was
be like,
more,
man,
you was more like, man, oh man,
yeah.
don't tell Coach Smith, don't tell Coach Jones.
Right.
And even when Coach Jones paddled you, he probably talked to you.
Oh, definitely. It'd be like a whole little speech, like a Coach Carter speech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Versus
Yeah.
when your mom, now, like I said, think about it.
Yeah.
Consistently, every time you got a spanking from your mother, it was the tone was different.
I wanted to run away.
The language was different. It was more from a point of I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna So it's just something to think about.
Man, my mama sometimes would punch her, boy. And slap us and stuff. And man, I promise you, man, therapy is the only thing that kind of got me through. Even though I didn't have therapy with my son, I just knew I didn't want to treat my kid how I was treated. You know what I'm saying? therapy only helped shape me into a better person for my kid.
Right.
I got to talk to him more. When he get in trouble in school, mom be want to whoop him. I'd be like, nah, let me talk to him. Yo, what happened? Like tell me what's going on so I can understand. So I would be a little bit more receptive of, oh, well, the teacher did this, and I would just be like, no, man, what did you do wrong? Well, I did say something bad. Okay, what'd you learn from that? You can't talk back to the teacher. That's your elder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, he would be like, you know what, you're right. And we just have like a conversation about it. But his mom would be trying to tear down the school door to get to him. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I looked at that scripture there, and I mean, it doesn't say you shouldn't whoop your child,
Yeah.
but it's the place where if you're to the point where I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna beat them. Well, you shouldn't be. You need to go stand in timeout.
Yeah.
You need to stand in timeout, because if you take a minute to digress yourself, like you said, maybe I won't even spank him or her at this no more. Maybe I'll just talk to him or her.
Definitely. Definitely.
Versus me administering corporal punishment on him or her.
Yeah, I just think like I said, some people, they just do it based on how they was taught. Is it right? I don't think it's right, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I know we gotta switch to this other subject too, man. This is love of choice. So to kind of final wrap up on the spare the rod, sport a child deal. Me personally, I go to speak for me. I personally don't believe in physically whooping a child. I believe there's other painful alternatives like push-ups, sit-ups, overhead arm. There's a bunch of stuff you can do to make a kid, obey without physically striking them. You know what I'm saying?
Me personally, I think I'm not against it, but I'm more reluctant to it.
Yeah.
Especially after you get a certain age. You get 10, 12, 13, you shouldn't be. Now, your mom might smack you across the head, boy, girl, pop. But as far as actual corporal punishment, I'm not feeling that. Once you get to a certain age, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. Your kid should be and your kids are gonna try you throughout their lifetime. What do you think about that comparison with the teacher and the parent, the mother, Jason?
Yeah, that was new to me. I ain't never heard nobody do it like that, but that may make you think. That makes you think right there. Yeah, that's completely different energy,
Yeah.
Right. When they're paddling you, they got a completely different energy.
Yeah.
Than they do. Than your parents do. Now, my dad. I don't even think my dad ever whooped me before. Except that hands on. But,
yeah, my dad never whooped me.
I don't think he ever whooped me before. He didn't have the same. He didn't deal with the anger. He didn't deal with me with that anger like my mom.
It was more instructional, more.
Correction.
It probably pained him more to do it, to administer it, versus why you making me do this.
He talked to me. What's wrong with you, boy? What's wrong?
Yeah.
What you do that for? What you do that for? You know what I'm saying? He talking to me, reading with me, redirect my path,
Right.
He trying to see what's in my head,
Right.
My mom would have been beating me by. She wouldn't even got that far.
But that goes.
You don't ever ask me what was wrong with me.
But that goes back to what those proverbs. but that goes back to what those proverbs are saying about when the key thing is that if you're doing it from the heart, you got to do it from the heart.
Hey man,
and if you go ahead.
You see the light on there, right?
What?
Then my mom would slap you. The room will go dark. And light back.
And one more thing, we got to close out, y'all. We've been on
Yeah.
too long. But one more thing,
Yeah.
I hear a lot of black people talking about how they parents whoop them and discipline them, and their parents don't play that, and this and that, right? And a lot of these black people I heard say that. Guess where they were saying it from?
Mm-hmm.
Prison cell.
Mm.
I was in prison I was on a one unit. One of the main units I was on had 4,000 men.
Mm.
So sometimes we get to sit in the day room with hundreds of men, right?
Mm-hmm.
And over an 8-year period of time, you get to hear a lot of men talk.
Yeah.
And all these men were raised like this.
Every one of them.
Me and my wife were having a back and forth one day, this years ago. Remember I tell y'all, working with her, she helped me progress along my path.
Evolved, right.
Yeah. And I was saying, I've always been raised like this. These my kids, we whoop them when they do this and that and that. And one day she said, "How's that worked out for you?" She said, "How's that worked out for you?"
That part.
And it made me
That
think,
part right there.
you know, and it made me think about all those guys that I talked to that be saying how they was raised like that, but they all have been to prison, or they all have done every wrong you can do under the sun, even if they ain't been to prison. They've done every wrong you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So how is that championed as the proper approach to parenting at that point?
I think, like I said, like it says, if you're doing it from other than a point from the heart, it's not constructive. It's not going to be constructive.
Right.
But I will say this: just because you did it with anger and frustration, don't mean it wasn't from the heart, right?
But that's not. But that's
That doesn't mean that you don't have the love for your child. It just means at that moment you acting out of anger.
Now, anger
but
comes from here.
that's the thing. That's not what the child is receiving. That's not what the child is receiving it as. Regardless, if I'm not. You're right. I'll agree with you on that. But me as a child, I felt even you all both have said, I felt like it was more compassion and more empathy when I got it from that teacher in school than I got it from my own mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can apply you can apply Proverbs 23 and 13 to when the teacher was administering corporal punishment to you versus when your mother was administering corporal punishment. It didn't feel that way to you.
Mm-hmm.
You was you probably got a better the punishment you got from the teacher was more probably constructive as far as building, as far as instructional, versus when your mother did it.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the way the energy that was being given off and exuded. Because like you said, when your father was doing it, he would talk to you, he would try to coach you, he would try to find out, he would try to like what's going on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Versus take them clothes off or get over there, I'm gonna whoop your butt, you know, whatever they would say.
And in the 29:15, Proverbs 29:15 is one you gave earlier. It says, the rod and rebuke give wisdom. But a child left to himself brings shame to his mother. So in other words, without no type of correction at all,
you going wild.
You gonna wild out, you know.
Read that again, Jason. What's
Being shame? That's what they be talking about. We need to bring shame back. It says the rod and rebuke. Right? The rod and rebuke.
right?
Give wisdom. But a child left to himself brings shame to his mother.
Right.
Now the thing with that is we've already established in 23 that it's got to be from the heart. That rod that you're giving has got to be from the heart. You know,
With instruction.
With instruction. But like you said, with the right with the mother, it's consistently without instruction. It's just pow, 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 pow. Because like you said, with your father, it was more like, what's going on? Why?
Yeah.
So,
man. Yeah, so we didn't get to part 2 today. We got stuck on this subject. So we wanted to get back on that love.
Let's close it out.
We're going to get back on that love next week, y'all.
Yeah, let's close it down.
All right, so I'm going and right. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. You can close it out, bro. You can close out in prayer.
I'm going to close out with prayer.
Go ahead.
All right, dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this opportunity to share your word, Father, to dive deep off into the meaning and depths and understanding of your word, Father. We want to get a better understanding on how to raise our children, Father, and rear them properly for the better development of our children, Father. We want to bless everybody that tuned in tonight, Father, and hope that they got some understanding out of this Bible study, Father, and we hope that they tune in next week, Father. We try to reach many people as we can, Father, in your holy name, Son's holy name. We pray, amen.
Amen. All right. Next week.
I'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
Right,
yep.
Okay, bye.